She found him at midnight, sitting alone in a glass tower, signing papers like the world owed him silence. And in 3 days, a little girl with a crayon would make him cry. Nobody at Harlow and Stone called Marcus Harlow kind. They called him precise. They called him relentless. They called him, in hushed voices near the coffee machine, a man made entirely of deadlines. He had built his company from 2 employees and a rented desk into a 40-floor empire. And somewhere along the way, he had stopped smiling. Not because he forgot how. Because smiling meant something. And Marcus could not afford what smiling cost him anymore. He controlled every room he walked into. His voice never rose. It didn't need to. The quiet way he said your name was enough to make grown men straighten their backs. Then Lena arrived. She walked into his office on a Monday morning carrying a tote bag that was slightly too large, a coffee she had made herself because she had read he didn't like the office blend, and a calm in her eyes that felt almost like a challenge. She was 31. A single mother. Quietly fierce in a way she didn't advertise. Marcus gave her 3 impossible tasks before noon. A report restructured, a schedule cleared, a vendor called and corrected. She completed all 3 without a single complaint. He found that irritating. She didn't shrink. Every sharp word he aimed at her landed somewhere and simply disappeared. She received his coldness the way a shoreline receives a wave, without moving, without breaking, without apology. What Marcus didn't know was that inside that oversized tote bag, beneath a folder and a spare charger, was a small pair of children's shoes. Because Lena's daughter, Ava, age 3, had no one else that night. And the armor Marcus had spent years building had just met the one thing it was never designed to stop, a woman who had already survived worse, and a child who didn't know walls existed. The little girl walked into the boardroom like she owned it. And the most powerful man in the building could not find a single word to say. It happened on a Wednesday. Marcus was mid-sentence, presenting fourth-quarter projections to 7 senior executives, when the glass door clicked open. Slowly. Quietly. And in walked Ava, 3 years old, wearing 1 pink shoe and holding a blue crayon like a tiny scepter. The room went still. 7 executives stopped breathing. Someone's coffee cup froze halfway to a mouth. Every eye moved to Marcus. Because Marcus Harlow did not tolerate interruptions. Not from clients. Not from board members. Not from anyone. But Marcus did not explode. He stopped. Just stopped. His eyes landed on Ava and something moved across his face. It was fast. Most people missed it. But Lena, who had appeared in the doorway behind her daughter, her face white with panic, her heart hammering, she saw it. A flicker. Raw and real and gone in an instant. She stepped forward quickly. "I am so sorry," she whispered, reaching for Ava. Marcus looked up at her then. His expression had already reset. Controlled. Cool. The mask was back. But Lena had seen the crack. She scooped Ava up and turned to leave. And then, barely above a breath, she said it. "She has better boardroom instincts than half your executives." She didn't know why she said it. Courage, maybe. Or fate. The room was silent. Marcus looked at her for one long moment. And then, quiet as a closed door, he replied. "Don't push your luck." Or hers. It wasn't a smile. Not quite. But the corner of his mouth moved. Just slightly. Just enough. Lena felt it in her chest before she understood it in her mind. Something had shifted. In him. In the air between them. In everything. The board member smiled when he said Lena's name. It was not a kind smile. And Marcus felt something he had not felt in years. The need to protect someone. The retreat was supposed to save a deal. A lakeside conference center, 2 days, 6 figures on the line. Marcus brought his core team. Lena came because he needed her. Ava came because there was no other choice. The first evening, while executives reviewed contracts over dinner, Ava sat in the corner booth coloring quietly and telling anyone who would listen about Mama's grumpy work friend. One of the junior staff laughed. Even Lena hid a smile behind her water glass. Marcus heard it. He said nothing. But his jaw softened. Just slightly. The sparring started on Saturday morning. Lena had reorganized his entire client presentation at 6 a.m. without being asked. It was better. Much better. He didn't thank her. He just looked at the revised deck, then looked at her. "You changed everything," he said. "I fixed everything," she replied. Calm. Steady. That afternoon, walking to the next session, something honest slipped out of her. "You run every room except the ones that matter." She didn't plan it. It just came. He stopped walking. "And which rooms are those?" She met his eyes. Didn't answer. Didn't need to. Then came the moment that changed the weekend. Board member Caldwell cornered Marcus before dinner. He had discovered Ava. He called it a liability. A breach of professional boundaries. He smiled the whole time he said it. Marcus felt the cold spread through his chest. But this time, the cold did not win. What Caldwell didn't know was that Marcus had already seen the client emails. Lena had been quietly smoothing his sharp edges with every difficult account for weeks. Protecting him. Genuinely. Without ever asking for credit. Nobody had done that for Marcus in a very long time. He looked at Caldwell and said, quietly, "This conversation is finished." It was 4 crayon figures and a yellow sun. And it broke a man that nothing else could touch. It happened quietly. The way the most important moments always do. Marcus was alone in the small side room off the main hall, reviewing final contract notes. The door was half open. He heard small feet on the floor before he saw her. Ava appeared in the doorway, still in her little yellow pajamas, crayon in hand. She didn't speak. She didn't ask permission. She simply walked to him, placed a folded piece of paper on the floor near his shoe, and pushed it toward him with one small finger. Then she turned and padded back down the hall. Marcus sat still for a moment. Then he reached down and picked it up. He unfolded it slowly. 4 figures, drawn in thick uneven crayon lines, all holding hands beneath a large yellow sun. The sky was purple. The grass was orange. And beneath each figure, written in a toddler's shaky letters, were 4 names. Mama. Me. Baby. Grumpy. Marcus stopped breathing. He stared at the word baby. At the small round figure drawn beside Ava's. At the family of 4 standing together under that bright, innocent sun. And something inside him, something he had locked behind years of silence and quarterly reports and cold conference rooms, simply gave way. Because 3 years ago, there had been a baby. And then there wasn't. And then there was no marriage. And then there was nothing. Just work. Just walls. Just the sound of his own footsteps in an empty apartment. No child had known to draw that. No adult would have dared. Lena appeared in the doorway. She saw the drawing in his hands. She saw his shoulders. She saw everything. She didn't move. She didn't speak. She just stayed. Present. Gentle. Genuine. And for the first time in 3 years, Marcus did not sit alone in his grief. He didn't bring flowers. He didn't make a speech. He just framed a crayon drawing and put it where the whole world could see it. The Monday after the retreat, things at Harlow and Stone were different. Not loudly different. Quietly different. The way a room feels after someone opens a window. Marcus called HR before 9. He restructured Lena's role, new title, new salary, new terms that reflected what she had actually been doing for months. No announcement. No fanfare. Just a revised contract slid across her desk with his signature already on it. Lena stared at it for a long moment. Then she looked up at him. He had already walked away. 2 days later, he stood before the full board and proposed an on-site childcare initiative. Caldwell shifted in his seat. 2 others frowned. Marcus presented the numbers calmly, the way he always did. Retention rates. Productivity data. Cost analysis. Clean and precise. But everyone in that room understood what was really happening. The ruthless CEO was choosing something. Someone. And he was using every tool he had ever built to do it with dignity. The proposal passed. That same afternoon, Lena walked into his office to drop off a report. She stopped immediately. There, on the corner of his desk, in a simple dark frame, was Ava's portrait. 4 figures. Yellow sun. Purple sky. Right where every client who walked through that door would see it. She couldn't speak. Marcus looked up from his papers. Completely calm. "She got my nose wrong," he said simply. "But the rest is accurate." And Lena laughed. Fully. Freely. Without checking herself first. Without guarding the sound of it or wondering if it was too much. It was the first time in years that belonging felt like something real. Not a dream. Not a risk. Just a warm, quiet, genuine truth standing right in front of her. And Marcus watched her laugh and felt, deep in his chest, that the armor was finally gone. Not broken. Not forced off. Just no longer needed. If this story touched your heart, share it with someone who needs a reminder that love doesn't always arrive loudly, sometimes it